Hi everyone! This is the first part of two-part wall lamp project. I started with this 3D model of a woman's face that I want to carve out of marble. This marble mask is going to become the lampshade, and the rest of the structure is built around this element. My aim here is to figure out how thin a marble piece can be without losing its strength. I'll start with the marble block, most of which will be turned into dust. This job is best done by my CNC, so I'll be silent for a while and let the machine speak for itself. Sorry to interrupt, but here I want to point out the fixing method. I am milling a 5mm deep pocket in the sacrificial slab, the same as the blank in shape. This way I can accurately save the work in X and Y coordinates, and be sure that the pattern on the inside matches the pattern on the outside. I also offset 5mm from the bottom edge of the part to create some kind of frame for further fixing and additional rigidity of the workpiece. Finished with a beautiful demo. Now on to my bucket of failures. I managed to achieve the combination of thickness-strength with 5 attempts, and thanks to one of them I can show the detail in cross-section. I tried to make the face as thin as possible around the eyes, cheeks, lips, so the face will remain recognizable when the lights is on. From the sides, added material for rigidity, also retained the oval frame which I used to fix the part. After polishing I will cut it off by hand. Here are my 2 finished pieces. I let them dry well over the weekend. Marble is more brittle when wet. I'll start by removing traces of the tool. I must say that there is no right or wrong polishing technique. Here I will talk about my method and the tools that I use. So, in this case I use a small air sander with 2100 RPM. I usually use a regular angle grinder, but it is heavier and not so comfortable to hold with one hand. Also, the pneumatic machine will simply jam if something goes wrong, when the bigger grinder will throw the part over the entire workshop. I use a 30mm soft sanding pad. My rule of thumb is to use the biggest pad you can get the most of the surface, then descending on smaller and smaller tools until you're done. Sandpaper is designed specifically for polishing marble. This is Sait Abrasivi SAIT, unfortunately not a sponsor yet, just a good sandpaper. I start with 80 grit. It will take a little longer, but this way I won't erase the eyebrows and other small details. I try to work only where the tool fits, otherwise you can make scars on the face with the side of the tool. Also only light touches, no excessive pressure. Then I switch to 120, 240, and here I am finished with 400 grit. You can already see light shine after this pass. Unfortunately, after 400 I have to switch to bigger grinder as well. I need more torque for finer sanding. This is my old but trusty one. It has variable speeds from 2800 up to 11,000 RPM. Most of the time I work at the lowest speed in order not to overheat the surface. Since I work without water cooling, the problem of the surface heating is quite serious. If you stay in one place for a long time, press hard or increase the RPM, you can leave burn marks on the marble. Or in my case it will simply crack from overheating. I work with sandpaper up to 1500 grit, and then switch to this brush. I don't know how it's called correctly, but it is used for polishing dental ceramics. I buy a lot of tools in a specialized store for dentists, and this one perfectly removes fine dust from the pores of the material, thereby giving more shine. With the brush I finish the work with a grinder for now. The surface at this stage already has sufficient gloss. It's time to switch to smaller tool, for polishing around eyes, nose and above the upper lip. I use a Dremel for polishing small parts. I made this sanding cylinder myself, simply winding several layers of 80 grit sandpaper around the holder and securing them with the wire. Very comfortable and soft tool just for such work. The bad news is that I couldn't find any specialized stone polishing tools for the Dremel. The good news, in fact, a whole field of self-made tools there, limited only by your imagination. Also, a lot of tools I use is borrowed from dental prosthetics industry. After sandpaper cylinder, I switch to Scotch-Brite. It's about 240 grit and just does a great job when you need to smooth the surface. I also use a standard Dremel holder here, simply replacing the cutting disc with Scotch-Brite. Here I work with the same Scotch-Brite, just larger in diameter. And I finish with this brilliant holder. It's just a cone with a cut in the middle. Sandpaper from 400 grit and above wears out quickly. With this holder it's very easy to change. You can also work with the side surface to polish wide areas and a sharp point for polishing hard to reach places, like the corner of the eye, for example. For this works, the sequence with sandpaper is the same as before. 400, 800, 1000, 1500 grit. And it's mostly done. Final step is this cotton disc. It's also a bit abrasive and blurs the line between polishing with a Dremel and a grinder, making the surface evenly shiny. That's all for now, but this is not a finished product yet. It is important to choose the temperature of the light and its power, so stay tuned for part 2. But in order to give you an idea of how it should look in the end, I used the lamp that was on hand. Thank you for watching.